Have you ever felt that life was just unfair? That something bad happened and it made no sense at all? Before you judge what you're going through, I want you to listen to this story until the very end. In a quiet countryside village lived a humble man named John. He owned a small piece of land and lived with his teenage son, Daniel. They didn't have much, but they had enough. And their greatest treasure, their most valuable possession, was a strong, loyal horse named Max. Max was the engine of their small farm. He helped them work the land every single day. To John and Daniel, he was more than just an animal. He was family. One afternoon, a wealthy businessman from the city was passing through the village. When he saw Max, he was immediately impressed by the horse's strength and beauty. "That horse is worth a lot of money," the man said to John. "I'll pay you more than you've ever seen." It was an incredible offer, a sum large enough to completely change John's life and secure their future. But John simply shook his head calmly. "No," he replied, "he's not for sale." The villagers couldn't believe what they had just witnessed. They started whispering amongst themselves, "He's so poor." They gossiped, "And he refuses good fortune when it knocks on his door. What a fool!" They saw it as a terrible decision, a missed opportunity that he would surely regret. A few days later, the unthinkable happened. Max escaped. The gate was left unlatched, and he vanished into the hills. "Hey, who was gone?" The same villagers who had called John a fool now returned, shaking their heads with a mix of pity and smugness. "See, now you've lost everything," they said. "First you refused the money, and now the horse is gone. This time it's truly bad luck." Daniel was heartbroken and worried. He looked at his father, his eyes filled with confusion and despair. "Father, why does this keep happening to us? Why is our luck so bad?" John, seeing his son's distress, placed a hand on his shoulder and answered quietly, "Let's not decide too quickly what is good or what is bad. Let's just wait and see." 1 week passed. Then something completely unexpected happened. As John and Daniel were working, they saw a cloud of dust on the horizon. It was Max. He had returned, but he wasn't alone. Behind him, a magnificent sight to behold, ran 5 beautiful wild horses, following him as if he were their leader all the way back to the farm. The village was absolutely stunned. The news spread like wildfire. The whispers changed overnight. "How lucky John is," they exclaimed. "He lost 1 horse and got 6 in return. His fortune has multiplied." People came from all around to see the new horses, marveling at John's incredible luck. But John didn't celebrate. He didn't smile with pride or boast about his good fortune. He simply went about his work, calmly tending to the animals. To the village's praise, he just said, "Time will tell." Daniel, now filled with excitement, began the challenging work of training the wild horses. It was difficult and dangerous, but he was determined. One afternoon, while trying to tame a particularly spirited horse, he was thrown violently to the ground. A sickening crack echoed through the air. His leg was badly broken. The sound of Daniel's pain filled their small home. The injury was severe, and the doctor said it would take a very long time to heal properly. Lying in bed, his leg bound in splints, Daniel looked at his father through tears. "This time, this is truly bad," he whispered. "This came from the horses. We called a blessing." John sat beside him, his expression calm and steady, and replied, "Let time finish its story, my son." Not long after, the drums of war began to beat across the country. Soldiers arrived in the village, conscripting all able-bodied young men to fight on the front lines. Every family was forced to send a son to the war. It was a terrifying time. Young men were taken from their homes, many of them never to return. Daniel, however, was spared. When the officers saw his badly broken leg, they passed him by. He was deemed unfit for service. While his friends and neighbors marched off to an uncertain fate, Daniel stayed home, safe. Months went by, and grief spread through the village like a shadow. Parents cried for the sons they had lost. Families mourned those who would never come back. The war brought devastation to almost every household. And suddenly, everyone understood. They looked at John's son, safe at home with his healing leg, and they finally saw the wisdom in the old man's words. John looked at his son, whose leg was now slowly mending, and said gently, "What we once called a terrible misfortune, broken leg became your protection. What felt like a great loss became an act of mercy. So, the next time you find yourself in the middle of a storm, remember this story. When something good happens, don't let pride blind you. When something bad happens, don't let despair overcome you. Because life doesn't reveal its entire plan at once. It unfolds moment by moment, chapter by chapter. Only time shows us the full picture. What you might see as a setback today could be the very thing that sets you up for a blessing tomorrow. And what appears to be a great victory might be a lesson in disguise. Trust the process, have patience, and let the story unfold. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that helps us see life from a different perspective.